A major new excavation of the Roman city of Pompeii was destroyed nearly 2,000 years ago after Mount Perseverus erupted. Imagine a city that was once a part of the Roman Empire, where there was hustle and bustle in the markets. People were busy celebrating, children were playing, and life was flourishing everywhere. But then suddenly the wrath of nature came down that everything was destroyed in a few moments. An entire city, its people, its stories, everything was buried in the ashes of time. This is the story of Pompeii, the city that was turned into ashes as a result of a horrific volcanic explosion in 89 AD. But the surprising thing here is that Pompeii is not just an unforgettable chapter of history, but this city is still talking to us. Every time when the experts dig the ruins of the ancient Earth, they find amazing discoveries that not only give a new direction to Pompeii, but also to the entire human history. If I tell you that there is such an oven discovery in Pompeii in which 2,000-year-old breads have been preserved, will you believe me? Yes. The ancient archaeologists have discovered such a large bakery complex in Pompeii, which was one of the most modern and organized bakeries of ancient Rome. There were many large stone mills in this bakery which were used to grind grain. In addition to this, there was also a large oven here in which about 2,000 breads could be cooked in one day. But the most surprising thing is that when the experts removed the ashes of this bakery, they found burnt bread in the oven. These breads were completely round, weighing about 9.8 inches wide and 580 grams, like today's pizza bread. The only difference was that they did not have tomato sauce and cheese on them. This discovery is not only about the history of food, but also tells us about the everyday life of the people of Pompeii and their way of cooking. A beautiful wall was found on the walls of this bakery, in which bread was kneaded, put in the oven, and hot breads were shown to be delicious. This proves that the people of Pompeii were very fond of food, and to make their food more delicious, they used different fruits, citrus fruits, and seeds. This discovery also tells us an interesting fact that in ancient Rome, there was also a fast food culture. Because the people who were busy, they used to buy their favorite bread from here and eat it as soon as possible. Just like we buy something to eat from a bakery or fast food restaurant these days. The experts have also found the remains of a complete horse, and that too in its original condition. At first glance, it looked like the remains of an ordinary horse. But when their size was measured, everyone was surprised, because this horse was much bigger than ordinary horses, approximately 5 feet high, which was extraordinary compared to the ordinary horses of that time. This meant that it was not an animal of a common farmer or trader, but a royal horse of a rich chief or a high military officer. Pompeii was generally considered a common urban settlement. But this discovery proved that the people of Umra and Ashrafia also lived here, who showed off their grandeur. Because the decoration and other things of this horse were made of pure stone, which also had inscriptions and royal signs on them. This shows that it was not used for any ordinary ride, but was used at special occasions, events, military exercises, or royal gatherings. This discovery is also special because it gives us interesting information about the horses of the ancient Romans. The Romans gave great importance to horses for the power and grandeur of their empire. Only rich and powerful people could have such magnificent horses, which were specially used for military missions, events, and government affairs. But the most surprising thing is that this horse was not buried in a common stable, but was buried near a magnificent villa, which was probably of a high-ranking official or a Roman general. In the same way, the experts of antiquity discovered a room in which many human remains were buried together. These people were lying on the ground. Some of their faces were covered with fear, and some of their bodies were close to each other, as if they were waiting for something. Usually, when there is a natural disaster, people try to escape. But here the situation was completely opposite. It seemed as if these people had deliberately entered this room, sat down, and were waiting for something to happen. Here we found another surprising clue, that there was a persistent message on the walls of the room that we were promised protection. This sentence was the biggest secret. After all, who made this promise to these people? Were they part of a religious ritual? Were they members of a secret sect waiting for a miracle? Or was it all a well-organized scheme in which people were brought here and left? According to the experts, the human remains in that room were not destroyed by a firecracker, but they were already here. There were no signs of burning on their bodies, nor were they buried under a rock. These people sat in their place until death came to them. The most frightening thing is that this room was not in any ordinary building, but was near an old worship place. Friends, this gives rise to another theory. Did these people believe in an ancient religious prophecy? This discovery is one of the biggest secrets of history, and its correct answer may never be revealed. But one thing is certain, that there was not only a firecracker in Pompeii, but there was something there that was already leading people to an unseen death. If we talk about the end of the city, there was a volcanic mountain near Pompeii called Mount Vesuvius. It had been silent for many years, but according to the experts, lava was accumulating on the inner surface. On August 24th, a common afternoon of the 89th century, Mount Vesuvius suddenly erupted and a powerful explosion occurred. This explosion was so terrifying that it shook the earth. The dust and ash coming out of the mountain covered the entire sky, and the light of the sun was dimmed. At first, the people of Pompeii were not very scared, because they thought that a common earthquake was this small atmospheric blast that would end soon. But they were wrong. In a few hours, the rocks and stones burning from the mountain began to rain, which were breaking the roofs of people's houses. Then the pyroclastic flow began. Some people tried to flee the city immediately, but those who could not leave on time either hid in their homes or died there. As soon as the volcanic mountain fell to the ground, the city began to slowly burn in ash. People put their clothes on their faces to breathe, but they were helpless in front of the poisonous gas. At the last moment, some people were found hugging each other while some decided to stay in their homes, thinking that the disaster would be avoided. But unfortunately, this did not happen. The next day, when the volcanic eruption stopped, the entire city was engulfed in 6 meters high ash and rubble. Every street, every house, every market, everything came in a moment, as if it was trapped in time. Those who could not succeed in getting out became the same kind of objects as they were at the last moment. Today, when we see Pompeii's excavation, we meet those people who were found sitting, running, or praying. I hope you liked this interesting story. Don't forget to like the video. To watch more such interesting videos, subscribe to this channel.